Hey, my name is Neil and I run a 7-figure digital agency. I also have an online coaching program where I help other businesses get more clients. It's what I do. And over the last few years, I've basically gone out there and tried out every single client acquisition method. And in this video, I'm going to be ranking them because some were great and then some were absolutely terrible and ended up costing me a lot of wasted time, money, and resources. Now, before we jump into the video, be sure to follow me on Instagram. That's where I drop a lot of these ideas first and interact with you guys. All right, let's just jump into this list with what I think is probably a client acquisition method that almost everybody has come across, and I'm talking about referrals, which are absolutely great when you're first starting out because they are free. Getting referrals is usually very easy because the prospects that do come to you are already pre-sold and you've probably had another business or another person vouch for your business. So selling to these people through referrals is great. However, as great as referrals are, I don't think they deserve to go up in the S tier, and there are a couple of limitations with it. First of all, they are not scalable. If I was to come to your business tomorrow and say, hey, double it, you probably wouldn't be able to go and get double the amount of referrals that you normally do. The second thing is referrals are not proactive. If you've already asked your entire client base for referrals and you've tapped that source, there's not another place where you can go to get more referrals. It's kind of a very difficult thing to grow. And for that reason, I can't really put it into the S tier. And I'm kind of even against putting it in the good tier as well, because in order to have a really robust referral system, you probably have to have a referral partnership manager, an affiliate manager who's on top of these things. And it's actually a lot of work to get off the ground. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in the meh category. All right, moving right along, let's talk about another one that a lot of beginners love, which is going to be Fiverr. Again, this is a great marketplace if you're first starting out. However, I absolutely hate it. Here's where I absolutely dislike Fiverr. It's because it's a super saturated marketplace. Everybody is going to be fighting you on price, and usually you're going to be competing against lower tier freelancers that are going to undercut you on price. And usually Fiverr has a kind of stigma about it where the quality of work isn't that high, coupled with the fact that it's usually one-off projects and not retainer or long-term work. I can't see another reason to not put this into the F category. Along the same lines, we got to talk about Upwork. Again, it's a little bit better than Fiverr. However, in 2023, it's not really a great landscape. It's super competitive as ever. The other thing is they really do limit you in the amount of proposals that you can send to people. This is really terrible because now not only are you competing with other freelancers and other businesses, you're actually limited in how many proposals you can send out. Some of the same problems with Fiverr where you're competing against, lower quality workers who are going to undercut you on price. Those problems also exist on Upwork, and for that reason, I got to put this straight into the F category as well. All right, let's move away from the marketplaces and talk about Google Ad. Now, if it was 2008, I would put this directly into the S tier. However, it is not 2008. Google Ads are a little bit saturated, and depending on what niche that you're going after, they can be highly competitive and very expensive. And for that reason, I can't really put it in the S category, maybe not even the good category. And I think I am going to lean a little bit more towards the meh category over the good category, is because they aren't really that scalable and the inventory is quite limited, especially for B2B businesses. So it's going into the meh category for me. All right, staying on the Google platform, let's talk about YouTube ads. Now, this is one that I think is actually worthwhile. So the pros for YouTube ads, they're super scalable. It's very easy to go out there, make an ad, make a whole bunch of different ads and actually get your product market fit. So when you're first starting out, you can actually really dial in your messaging. So I think they're super great for that. Because YouTube ads are based on long form videos, it's also very easy to establish trust and authority with your ads, and they aren't as saturated as some of the other ad platforms. So for that reason, I got to put it in either good or S. However, there are a couple of limitations. And the reason why I think I'm not going to put this on the S category is because YouTube ads are a little bit difficult to get off the ground. You definitely need to have a level of presence on camera, as well as a little bit of money when it comes to video production, as well as ad spend to go out and test your ads. So for that reason, because it's not as great as some of the cheaper ad platforms out there, and it is a little bit difficult to be good on video and make good ads, I'm going to put this in a good tier. Very solid option for getting new clients. All right, while we're talking about ads, let's talk about everybody's favorite B2B platform, which is going to be LinkedIn. And I'm specifically talking about LinkedIn ads. Now, are they as great as some of the other ad platforms? No, but they are really, really good, depending on what niche you're after. Now, I will say they are very robust, and the targeting is pretty great because LinkedIn is probably one of the only platforms that allows you to target companies based on employee sizes and sometimes even revenue level. For that reason, I think LinkedIn ads are pretty great. However, they are very expensive. massive. They probably have the highest CPMs and CPCs of any ad platform out there, and it can be super competitive depending on what niche you're going after, because it's only businesses that are advertising on the platform. For this reason, it really depends on what niche you're going after, so I can't really put this as high as YouTube ads, but I don't want to put this in the same category as Google ads. Maybe I'll put them in the good to meh category. A very good option depending on what niche you're going after. And what I recommend is that even if you aren't running cold LinkedIn ads, is to mess around with remarketing ads where some of the numbers make a little bit more sense. And speaking of remarketing ads, this one's got to go straight into the S tier. I don't think there's a single thing on this list that produces dollar for dollar a better return than remarketing ads. Even if you aren't doing a lot of cold advertising, I think remarketing has so much potential. We all know the saying that a prospect needs, 7 to 9 different touch points with your brands before they buy anything. And remarketing is basically a cheap, effective hack to get those touch points with your customers. Now, there is one limitation, which is that remarketing ads aren't super scalable. However, with how easy they are to set up and almost set up and forget it, I have to put them in the S category. So if you are a business that doesn't have remarketing ads set up across all the different ad platforms, I highly recommend that you go after this video and set those up for your business. Again, it's going to be like picking the low-hanging fruit. It's going to be an absolute home run for your business. All right, so the next S tier activity is actually going to be subscribing to this channel, because I'm going to be coming out with a ton of free videos that are going to help you get more clients. So definitely hit the subscribe button. All right, our next client acquisition method channel is going to be SEO. And similar to Google Ads, if it was back in like the early 2000s, I would definitely put this in the S category. However, in 2023, it is really difficult to pull off SEO. It's almost become a pay-to-play game. It doesn't matter if you're doing black hat, white hat, gray hat, whatever. All of that requires a ton of work up front. You have to make a lot of content, even if you're outsourcing some of that with some of the new AI tools out there. Getting people on your website is going to be very difficult. The reason for this is basically you're going to have to pay for backlinks, whether it's with actual money or the amount of work that you pay in. And even if you do a great job, the fact of the matter is with SEO, you won't see results tomorrow. It usually takes a few months for your efforts to start showing. And for that reason, I have to put this in the meh category. It used to be great in the back in the day. I don't think it's an absolute essential for any modern day business, but it's good to have if you have the time and resources. All right, next for client acquisition, we have groups/communities. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the meh category. Now, I know what some of you guys might be saying. Oh, what? Why is he putting group funnels or community funnels into the meh category? And this really depends on what sort of niche you're in, because in some of the more competitive B2B niches, this method is absolutely saturated and has been beaten to a pulp. Even if you aren't in a super saturated niche, group or community funnels are still a ton of work. Not only do you have to have a robust content strategy system in play, you probably need to also have a community manager or a group manager that actually moderates the group and makes sure that the engagement level and quality is there and maintained. Not to mention that scaling these groups or community inherently means that you are going to lose quality and conversion rates. So very difficult to grow, very difficult to manage, and they're super saturated now. For that reason, yeah, I can't see another reason to not put it in meh. All right, next up we have outbound messaging/prospecting. And this is going to be things like Insta DMs, LinkedIn DMs, and Facebook private messages. And if I could put this in the F category right away, I would, because this has been so saturated in the marketplace right now. Man, I got to put this into the F category right away. The only thing that's saving it is that sometimes it can work depending on what niche you are. But if you're a business owner like me, just look at your inbox right now. How many different, cold messages do you get a single day? I get like probably 30 on Facebook, 50 on LinkedIn, and like a bunch on Instagram. They're all pitching the same thing. I end up ignoring most of them, and I think a lot of business owners are as well. It definitely is a numbers game. You probably also have to have a setting team in play and then have to manage those setters. Not to mention that each of these platforms actually restricts you with how many messages that you can actually send out. So scaling is a little bit difficult. I want to really put this in the F category, but I do know if you are in an industry that's not super saturated, or you're on a platform where your messages are actually getting read, or you have some creative way to actually stand out and actually have people, look at the messages that you're sending out, it can work. Don't get me wrong. This does work really well if people are actually willing to engage in conversations with you. The truth of the matter is a lot of businesses aren't. So for that reason, I can't really put this in F. I can't really put this in good. I'm going to put it in meh. It really depends on what niche you are, but for most people out there, you're probably a little late to the party when it comes to outbound prospecting on social platforms. All right, next up, let's talk about the granddaddy of them all, the one that was an S tier from all the way back in the day. And I'm obviously talking about Facebook ads. Now, it was an S tier back in the day. Is it still an S tier in 2023? I have to say yes. Facebook ads are essentially one of the gold standards when it comes to client acquisition, even in 2023. Targeting is the best. You can run cheap image ads that you can whip up on Canva. You don't need a lot of budget to test. I don't know what else to say. They're fantastic. Yes, I understand that people have trouble scaling their Facebook ad accounts. Yes, I understand that sometimes people get their ad accounts banned, but they're probably promoting things that aren't super legitimate or are scammy or making false promises. So if you're not doing that, Facebook ads is great. Will you make $1 bajillion off of Facebook ads? I don't know, maybe, yeah. But even if you don't, you will get your first few wins. And for that reason, Facebook ads stays in the S tier. All right, next up, we have cold email. Now, I did put the cold outbound prospecting in the meh category. Am I going to do the same with email, cold email? I don't think so. And the reason for this is purely because of scalability. And now, cold email differs with cold prospecting. The reason for this is you can leverage technology a lot more and it's a lot cheaper to get off the ground. You don't need setters and stuff like that to get it working well. Like I mentioned, there's actually no limit to cold emails. Like if you wanted to start sending 10,000 cold emails, it would probably take you a month. There's no platform restriction. So like Facebook isn't limiting the amount of messages that you're sending out, same as LinkedIn. And it's pretty inexpensive. You know, setting up cold email to send out 10,000 emails a day probably costs less than $500 a month nowadays. So very cost effective for how much reach you get. And if you're a little bit creative and you know what you're doing with cold email, you can actually get really high open rates and actually get people engaging in conversations with you if you are that bit creative. For that reason, because it is a little bit difficult for beginners, you do need a little bit of copy skills. I won't put it in the S tier. It goes into the good tier. It's tried and true. Cold email's been here for a number of years now. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's got to go in the good category for me. All right, with cold email, now we got to talk about cold calling. And some people aren't going to love my opinions on cold calling. I think it deserves to go in the F category. And the reason for this is because it's not really scalable. You really have to sit there on the phone, grind things out. And for that reason, I got to put it in the F category. It's very hard to do in 2023. You need a lot of sales skills. You need to be on the phones constantly. And to be honest, it doesn't actually leverage technology the way other things should. I will say this, like, listen, if you are somebody with good enough cold calling skills and you have good sales skills, you're probably going to be pretty decent on video. Why not make a video ad and get it out to 1,000 customers and use those sales skills when prospects come inbound to you? Again, doesn't make sense to me why people are still doing this in 2023. It's a little outdated. Does it work for some businesses? I'm sure, but like if you're a modern day digital business, nah, this is going in the F category for me. All right, next up we have TikTok ads, and for B2B client acquisition, I gotta say F. The targeting is just not there. The attention span of the people is just not there. We've tried to mess around with it. However, right now, the way in 2023 TikTok ads are, it's very, very hard to get in front of business people and other businesses and generate quality leads if you are a B2B person. B2C, it's amazing. I would put it on the S tier, right? You see tons of these e-commerce stores doing really, really well. Some of these bigger mass market info offers doing really, really well. But for B2B, F tier. And then we have social media content marketing. So this is going to be things like posting Instagram clips, posting regular TikToks. Where do I rank this? Now, I want to put this in the good category, but this kind of is one of those things that looks great on the outside, but is kind of when you get into it. So with social media content, I think it's very difficult to actually pull off. You actually have to be an expert on the platform that you're posting, which is one, very difficult to do. Two, you have to pick the best topics that go viral. Three, the topics that you do pick are going to be around business and B2B topics, which are inherently restricted by the platforms. Like these platforms, like Instagram, like TikTok, they promote general mass market topics, right? Those are the things that tend to go viral. So if you're somebody that's making niche B2B topics and niche B2B videos, it's very hard to grow, right? And because this is usually like short form content, you aren't really building the same trust and authority that you are on, say, long form content like you are on YouTube. For that reason, I have to put it in the meh category. The other thing with posting on social media is even if you are really good at this and you have found a unique social growing strategy, the results take a while. You're not going to be an overnight success. You're not going to get 1,000 clients tomorrow, right? You can have one YouTube video that ranks really well. People come to it, flock to it, and you get thousands of clients. You probably aren't doing that with a TikTok reel that goes viral. So for that reason, yeah, it's got to stay in the meh category for me. So I kind of screwed up. I put this YouTube icon in good. Instead, I should have put YouTube advertising in good. But let's talk about YouTube content as a general. I got to put this in the S category. I know I just put social media content in the meh category, but man, YouTube organic is on a whole nother level. This is because YouTube is very different than any other social media platform out there. First of all, it's the #2 search engine in the world. That means businesses are actively coming on YouTube. They're searching up solutions to their problems. And if you're one of those businesses that can appear on their queries, you can get some great business because people are actively searching for solutions. Second, because like I mentioned briefly, it is a long form video platform. That means it's incredibly easy to build relationships with customers on YouTube. And the best part about YouTube is that you don't really need super fancy camera equipment, super, fancy videos to get off the ground. In fact, there's tons of videos out there that are getting millions of views in the B2B space, especially, that are just screen shares. So the fact that you can post to YouTube for free, the fact that the YouTube algorithm actually promotes your content if it's good and it's getting picked up, and you can actually get a lot of trust and build relationships with prospects even before they engage with your business, I have to say, YouTube is really, really good. And if you get a viral piece of content on YouTube, you can literally tomorrow get more clients in the door. Gotta be S tier for me. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this tier list. If you did, please do me a huge favor, subscribe to the channel. It's brand new, helps me out a ton, and I will see you in the next one.